Some huge matchups in college football here in week 3 this Saturday, September the 13th. Lucky September the 13th because I've got every one of these head-to-head top 25 matchups and a couple bonus games for you, top 30-ish matchups. 5 games with free plays and analysis. The 5 biggest college football games this Saturday coming up free for you right here, right now. Hi, this is Steve Merril, WagerTalk.com, right back here on WagerTalk TV. And as I do every week, I break down every head-to-head top 25 matchup, and I give you my 10,000 game simulation and also let you know which way I lean as well. And whenever I can, some games that are just a bit outside of the top 25, I sneak in as well. So let's look at the 3 official top 25 matchups, and then I'll give you 2 bonus games as well. We'll go down in start time order here. And the first one is a big one, probably the best game of the week at 3:30 Eastern on national TV. Of course, an SEC matchup on ABC. Number 6, Georgia at number 15, Tennessee. And ding, ding, live dog alert. I think the Tennessee Vols can win this game outright. The wrong team is favored in this one. In fact, the sharp money agrees. This line opened as high as 6.5, was quickly bet down this week to 3.5. And as long as it stays above that key number of 3, there is value with the Tennessee Volunteers. My 10,000 game simulation has Tennessee actually winning this game outright on average by over 2 points. And I think we can make a justification for them as well with the matchup. Georgia, very unimpressive win last week against Austin Peay, 28-6. They were a 45-point favorite in that game. They beat Marshall 45-7 in week 1. Both do good defensive games there, but I think the offense is suspect here. Now they're making their first road trip of the season early in the season against a very good Tennessee team. In fact, Tennessee's defense is better than people realize. I rank both of these teams in my top 10 defensive ratings overall in the nation, and both defenses rank ahead of the opposing offenses. So I do like Tennessee as a live home dog. I think they can win this game outright, but I also lean towards the under in this one. Now, Tennessee was explosive last week, 72 points as a 40-point favorite against East Tennessee State. And their defense was a little suspect in week 1 against Syracuse, giving up 26 points. But I still think they're one of the better defensive teams in the nation. I'm not sure Georgia's that explosive this year. They've tailed off a bit here in recent years offensively. Their defense has remained strong, though. I would also take a look at the under in this game, under 49.5. It's held steady, very little movement on the total. And I understand why. Tennessee at home over the recent years has been explosive, but that's been against weaker teams. When they step up in class, that offense is usually weaker as well. I lean Tennessee plus the 3.5, but I also like the under 49.5 in this huge SEC matchup, top 20 matchup at 3:30 Eastern Saturday on ABC. All right, let's look at the next game here in the top 25. And this is an unusual one at 4:30 Eastern. In fact, it's so unusual that they're sticking it on the CW network. Good luck finding that. Maybe right after reruns of Motton. Number 18, South Florida against number 5, Miami of Florida. Once again, this is at 4:30 Eastern on CW. It's the most unlikely top 25 matchup we'll probably have all season on the most unlikely network. And South Florida, of course, sneaks into the rankings because they did upset previous number 13 Florida last week. South Florida is now ranked after being unranked last week, and they hop all the way to 18th in the rankings. Coaches poll, by the way, only has them 23rd. I think that's probably a little bit more reasonable. And they'll probably be out of the rankings after they lose this game to Miami of Florida on Saturday. But there's not a lot of value, unfortunately, with the Hurricane. I would have liked to fade it, South Florida, after their huge win against the Florida Gators. The Bulls celebrated like they'd won the Super Bowl in week 2. And the early money has come into Miami of Florida. This line opened 16.5, and now it's crossed over that key number of 17 to 17.5. And I mentioned that because my 10,000 game simulation only has Miami of Florida winning by about 16 points on average. So while it doesn't look like a good spot for South Florida, I get that. There's really no line value left as it's now 17.5. My projection is only 16. So let's look at the total instead. And I do think there's some value with the over-under in this game for a couple reasons. First of all, I project Miami of Florida to be one of the best offensive teams in the country this year. And right now I have them as a top 10 offense. South Florida is not even a top 40 offense, but they're not even a top 80 defense. So I do think Miami of Florida can move the ball in this game. So a team total with Miami of Florida might be worth a look to the over. But I'm also suspect on the Miami of Florida defense. I don't even have them ranked top 50 right now in my defensive ratings. So 2 suspect defenses in which both offenses hold the edge. Even if South Florida comes in a little flat after the big win, that normally shows more on the defensive side of the ball. So I do like the over in this game, over the 56.5, 57. Shop around for the best number. And then once again, that would correlate to the Miami team total, especially over 35.5. Unfortunately, 35.5 is a pretty ugly number. I would have liked it better at 35 or less. So my top recommendation in this game is actually the full game over 56.5, 57, as I think both offenses hold the matchup edge at 4:30 Eastern in Florida. All right, let's look at your final official top 25 matchup, and they'll give you two bonus games as well. And this one's at 7:30 Eastern on NBC and Peacock. Number 16, Texas A&M against number 8, Notre Dame. This is definitely the other big game this week, another top 20 matchup, A&M and Notre Dame. Of course, these teams played in week 1 last year, and A&M lost at home 23-13 in a very low-scoring game. Neither team gained more than 3.5 yards per play. I think there'll be a little bit more offense this year here in the rematch between two capable teams. The question, though, becomes, does Notre Dame bounce back after that loss in week 1 to the Miami of Florida Hurricane, who we just talked about? I think they do. First of all, they had a bye week last week. Bye came in a really good time to recover and regroup. And as we saw with some other teams last week that lost in week 1, they didn't toss the towel because teams know now that 1 or even 2 losses can still get you into the postseason with the playoff format. Now, Notre Dame not being a major conference team, unlike some of those SEC teams or Big 10, Big 12 teams, might have a tougher road. So they very well might have to win out here. So this is a focus spot off the bye week. And I do think they're the better team. In fact, my 10,000 game simulation has them winning this game by almost 10 points on average. So at minus 6.5, there is some value with the Fighting Irish as long as this stays below that key number of 7. Very little movement on the total. Open 48.5. It's up to 49, 49.5. A little bit of movement to the over. As I mentioned last year, very low scoring in week 1 game. Notre Dame's defense looked okay in week 1. And by the way, big picture, I do think the Irish will regress this season. We've seen that with recent losers in the national title game. We saw TCU have a losing year. We saw Washington last year have a losing season. We see it a lot in the NFL. So, we all know the Super Bowl loser half the time doesn't even make the playoffs the following year. So I think big picture, Notre Dame might be a little overrated this year, but this looks like a good bounce back spot off the loss, off the bye week. And we do get some line values. My simulation once again favors them by 10 points here. And currently they're only a 6.5 point favorite on Saturday night. Also, tough spot for Texas A&M. They played back-to-back cupcakes at home and now have to travel for the first time in a spotlight game. And they weren't very impressive in either home win. Yes, they're 2-0 straight up, but the Aggies are 0-2 against the spread. 42-24 lackluster win against Texas San Antonio. The Roadrunners, beep, beep. They were a 24-point favorite in that game. And then, of course, against the Utah State Aggies, 44-22. They were a 35-point favorite in that game last week. So huge step up in class here for an A&M. Meanwhile, Notre Dame's already played a huge top 10 opponent in Miami, and they got the bye week to recover. Looks like a good spot for the Fighting Irish minus the 6.5 on Saturday night. That's at 7:30 Eastern for you on NBC. I want to give you two bonus games that were just a bit outside from making the top 25. In fact, we'll call these top 30 bonus games. These are two teams, if they pull the upsets, will probably be ranked next week. And we'll start with a really good matchup at 12 noon Eastern on ESPN. Number 12, Clemson at number 28, Georgia Tech. And I'm using by the additional votes in the AP poll. Georgia Tech has gotten the third most additional votes. So 26, 27, 28, you do the math. They rank 28th overall, even though they don't go that deep outside the top 25. And if Georgia Tech wins this game, pulls the upset, they will definitely be a top 25 team next week. And I think they have a good chance to do so. In fact, my 10,000 game simulation favors Georgia Tech by about 0.5 point. So Georgia Tech, pick them 0.5 point, actually has them winning this game on average in 10,000 simulations. And the sharp money agrees because Clemson opened as a 6-point road favorite this week. And this line is now down to that key number of -3. So +3 or more, key number of +3 or more, there is some value, at least based on my simulation, on Georgia Tech. On the surface, you would say this is a very difficult spot for Clemson, having to travel for the first time all year, but this is the most experienced and veteran team in the country. There's over 130 FBS teams, and returning production-wise, Clemson had the most experience coming back. They also had that high-profile game against LSU to start the season. Now, that was a tough loss, 17-10. But as I mentioned earlier, they bounced back as many teams did last week. Or did they bounce back, though? They beat Troy 27-16, but they were a 30-point favorite. They didn't even score the point spread. That's always a huge red flag to me. So I do think there's some value with Georgia Tech, who's been a feisty team the last couple seasons, getting more than a field goal on a home field, which they'll be psyched because this is the early kickoff game at noon Eastern on ESPN Saturday. And as far as the total in this game, might find some value here with this over-under because right now I think this is a better offensive team than people realize with Georgia Tech. And I just mentioned how experienced the Clemson offense is coming back as well. In fact, my offense and defensive ratings show both offensive units as having the edge in this game. If you look at both defenses, not even top 25, but both offenses rate top 30. I think the matchup favors the own. It's a very modest total, right around 52. See no reason why this one can't get over as well. So lean Georgia Tech plus 3 or more. I would also lean over 52 in your 12 noon Eastern game on ESPN between Clemson and Georgia Tech. Going to give you one more bonus game. Quick reminder, I post a free play every day on my page. I'm giving you free opinions here, but a bonus free play on my page at WagerTalk.com. So check out a bonus free play for this Saturday college football as well, or baseball. It's always my last cut from the best bet card. Always a free baseball or football play each day. Steve Merril, WagerTalk.com. And you can get there quicker with shortcut WT.buzz/SM. All right, the other game that was just a bit outside for making the top 25, another top 30 matchup, number 29 Florida at number 3 LSU. This game is at 7:30 Eastern on ABC Saturday night. As I mentioned earlier, Florida was ranked 13th in the nation last week. They got upset by South Florida. Now they're not ranked no more. If they pull the upset at LSU, they will be in the top 25 again next week, but I don't think that's likely. My 10,000 game simulation on average has LSU winning this game by about 10 points. The early money has come in on the Gators, though. They opened as a 9.5 point road dog. It's now down to 7.5, and we're seeing minus 7.5, minus 0.5. So it looks like there's a chance we might see some sevens by kickoff on Saturday night. I'm doing this video late Thursday night heading into Friday, so we'll keep an eye on that line. And by the way, if you like the Gators, I would play this sooner than later. Grab the plus 7.5. The line's been dropping all week. It's a very key number. Meanwhile, if you like LSU, I would wait. You might get a 7 or less by kickoff at 7:30 Eastern Saturday night. And that's the way I would lean, as my projection once again favors LSU by about 10 points on average. At minus 7 or less, which is a very key number, about a 5% chance LSU wins this game by exactly 7 points. I would start leaning towards the Tigers at that point at minus 7 or less. Now, their offense has been suspect. I mentioned that Clemson win 17-10. Well, just like Clemson, LSU didn't look very good offensively last week either. 23-7 nonchalant win against Louisiana Tech as a 36-point favorite. Only scored 23. So that is always a red flag. But the problem is Florida's offense didn't look much better either. Only 16 points in that upset loss as an 18-point favorite. Didn't even score the point spread. Neither team even scored the point spread. So can understand why there's been some heavy money on the under in this one. Opened at 51.5, now down to 47.5. Seems pretty obvious, though. Both offenses were terrible last week. Never like it when it seems too obvious, though. So that's a total I'd be careful with. But the sharp money has definitely been on the under. As far as my offensive and defensive ratings, I've ranked them both top 30 on both sides of the ball, almost equal as well. So I'd only lean LSU if this gets down to that key number of minus 7 or less. And that game, once again, is at 7:30 Eastern Saturday night on ABC. Hey, there you go. I gave you your 3 top 25 head-to-head matchups for Saturday. And as always, I go a little bit deeper. I want to give you as much value and information in these videos as possible. 2 bonus games as well. They're still in that top 30. 5, maybe the 5 biggest college football games this weekend for Saturday, September the 13th. Hey, comment below. What are your thoughts on these games? What other games are you looking at? Maybe some of the under-the-radar games, the non-ranked teams, some sleeper picks for this Saturday. Include some analysis if you have time. Let's learn and earn and win together here on WagerTalk TV. And if you're finding these free play videos useful, if you like them, all I ask is a thumbs up, like, and a positive comment below. Even if you have time for the comment, I know that can take like 30 seconds. Just do the thumbs up, like. That takes 2 seconds. Boom, you did it. Thumbs up, like, comment below, because I do truly read the comments and I reply back. And also, if you never want to miss out on a free play video, including my NFL Fade the Public video, which will be up this Saturday, then click subscribe and click that bell for an instant alert here on WagerTalk TV. By the way, I mentioned earlier how I post a bonus free play each and every day on my page, Steve Merril, WagerTalk.com, and it's quite simple. If I have a personal best bet that I'm using, I send it to all my paid subscribers, all my clients. It's been that way for over 29 years since I started in August of 1996. This is now my 30th football season, 30th basketball season about to begin. If I have a best bet, I send it to all my clients. Doesn't matter if you get a 1 day, a 1 week, a 1 month, 1 year subscription. But that last cut is still a pretty strong opinion because I'm very selective with best bets, maybe 2 to 3 best bets per day on average, which means that last cut is a strong opinion still. And I don't want to waste it. I put it up for free for everybody. So check out today's bonus free play right now with analysis. Steve Merril, WagerTalk.com. And while you're there, check out several great promos right now for my best bet service, Depending on which sports you want, you can get a 1-month football, all-access college and pro football for 30 days with an instant $100 discount. No promo code needed. Or if you want all sports, and here's why you might want to consider all sports. Baseball still has about a month and a half to go. Don't sleep on September and October baseball. Last year, we finished on an incredible 57-28 best bet winning run in baseball. College and pro basketball is less than a month and a half away. College and pro football is here. If you want all sports, all access, you might want to consider the buy 3 months, get the 4th month for free. That's right. Buy 3 months and get the 4th month for free. All sports, all access. That's an instant $300 discount. No promo code needed there either. So once again, a 30-day football or a 4-month all sport, all access, both with special prices, along with that daily free play as well. Make sure you go every day to get the free play. Even if you're doing your own handicapping, if you're new to sports betting, you will learn while you earn with the free play analysis I post every day on my page. Steve Merril, WagerTalk.com, and get there quicker with shortcut WT.buzz/SM. On the way out, don't forget to follow me on social media at Steve Merril, 2 R's, 1 L. You see it in the bottom corner of your screen there, at Steve Merril, MERRIL, at Steve Merril on X and Instagram. And stay tuned here to Wager Talk TV because you know there are more free play videos coming up next.